Hello, dear news, media, national and local. For example, all the topics in the news have recorded ties. We have all these nations recorded and invested, involved with other natures of motivations and of goals for racketeering method that was here since before our founding parents were even born. Here and there, they already had Native Americans, tribes A through Z, blaming other things, others themselves for the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures caused by it works with perfection. The identity that revealed everything here out of nowhere and its fruits and gifts. This is evolution science. This is the value of the identity that all identities of value individually grouped and together share. And sequentially, so even though it's invisible, it's still discernible because it is also simultaneously the identity of simultaneous nature, individually grouped together as value progression. Now, see overall these things they're keeping this from being debatable that aren't debatable, like with color. They're keeping everyone in collusion, blaming the real causes of it on other things, others themselves. That can't help but stay manifest as an identity, as a negative identity of negative value nature progression, acts in nature self-value, as styles of liars forced manifest, because of the identity of the ground from semi-ancient times, from latter semi-ancient times. Then the modern religions were born. Modern religions messengers, thank God for them. It means to Christianity and Islam together, for example, are preserving counterpositions distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, wherein, as and how states and areas are still in collusion with what is not sourced by one nation, but it's fluent through each, and through other natures of motivations, things real, and within relationship to opinions, sequence treatments no. That's why mandated law is not as prevented criminally often whole crime methods of modern nations courts are recorded. Now, admitting that is simultaneously what is exploited by hundreds of nations at once, the same thing here and there, already here and there, having pretended other in peaceful contexts, where they come down to fighting about the finite. Active value treatment, simultaneously value. Value has a relationship to positive and negative, contained by and as the identity of volume that identity is. A complete nature as an individual, only making more and more semi-nature, as the only semi-nature that is positive at the same time in demonstration to us, invisible but still discernible that way too. This is the identity of the hierarchy of sequence nature differentially too, because one identity has an identity of relationship to itself that has the value of that simultaneously, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, again, sequentially, the inherent nature of volume, individual, and grouped in the other two as its own sequence nature, where that shifting value is like its heartbeat. It's like its circuit. And where the identity of space and the identity of existence share an identity, where value is simultaneously going out of while it is coming in them by the complete identity, its complete nature of relationship to itself, and the value of that inseparable from all parts of space nature from smaller than it, and while being the identity and its identity of relationship to itself then bigger than it. English is revealed to teach about this. This is why the predicate is named the predicate, and the predicate act is named the predicate act. This is identity's course, but we have recorded, already invested, the same way we had courts invested to motivated to be witch trials roles. Now they have to defend that identity in relationship to value treatments at the old fashioned form of what is manifest here and there, World Trade Center. Other nations, same thing, trade value systems. See, but now we're an identity of negative value, nature, progression, self-valued roles, victim predators. That's what forgiveness is about, why we don't have free speech. That's what our Constitution's about. We have readings of our founders' motivations that came through criminally foreign influence sciences left by our founders to demonstrate. I've been asking right through administrations online. The FBI is recorded involved, even with AT&T and with interbranch Facebook pages, already invested to racketeering act roles, illusions, sequence racketeering roles with tortures, since before they had, as roles with the Trade Center attack context, then as people roles with making torture legalized. Their roles with Hartford Hospital, their roles with each age and nature of campus simultaneously through time. With Russians, these are Connecticut pretending to be against such because of how they have the identities of each modern nation already involved with other natures of racketeering. You know what kind of sick person? It's right if you have that many natures of racketeering denied, already having been used to blame all it causes, like negative value, nature, progressions, acts, and natures, predicate acts. Criminal and seditious natures, wrongdoers. These are organized crime terms that we don't have branches of government originally and still capable of, and they're in collusion with the overt criminal enterprises. That's actually recorded too. They've been lying about what is actually recorded because they've been lying in cases, and they have to lie, and worse than lying, then they have to hide from and value hurt. Each age of correlation nature is simultaneously delicate and simultaneously strong and simultaneously differential. Relationship to the identity of relativity consciously, methodically by an organized crime method, maintained worse than obfuscated. To maintain effectively, having maintained since some ancient times, identities of liars, identities of lie progression cover-up natures, where those lie progressions are right back to the identity of the ground, where everyone's going to be, where everyone's going to interact. You see, then this is before the value of education. Then, while being on and off of campuses, on homeschooling, everything they had originally still. Modern nations were taken to so many natures of racketeering. Our founders were fact chipping nature slaves. It's very simple. They can't even, they don't, you guys don't, you can't even, we have, people can't even diagram sentences properly. And that gets away with it by how knowledge is being used. How they're using words that they're debatable, long debatable words by people who understand the words. So these people are going too fast, too slow, while they're pretending things are made up, are recorded that aren't interbranch. And they have been preventing writing through time. This is many ways: Washington, D.C., Pentagon, Justice Department, already fact-cheating nature cases in the here or there. Look at our zoning laws. It's not even debatable so many ways. The only reason they get away with debating it is because they have opinions lied to. Opinions would be totally different if the news didn't make up the fake words they attached me to. They attached my family to. And with doctors. That's one of their crime methods, individually brand. They're forging names with doctors, pretending whole categorically faked conversations that weren't at all. They're sequence racketeering with those doctors' families, foreign and domestic, on and off campuses. This is in relationship to that. It keeps it all along roots, kept needing to hide live progressions with each age of fact cheating nature. But not by accident, having means facilitated already there to do it. This is them recorded inter overt criminal enterprises undercover with that, and they're using that because these are fact cheating nature racketeering, the methods used by courts with their roles. Now, so their roles they've been using each identity of the ground location means to and to write about them, to make them up, to pretend things recorded physically that never were. They're involved with other natures and motivations for human trafficking, and with live progressions from that, attaching little kids and their family members to fake locations, things like that. I never had a conversation. There's a Rob Heimgartner. Out of nowhere, he called me to his house one time. And I was like middle school. And there were kids there, I don't know who was, and there was like 3 kids. I don't even know their names. And we had no conversation. I thought, I never had any conversation with them about girls or anything like that. See, those people did that for some reason like that. Then they pretended other to girls. Now, these are people also associated with the people along routes, with the Russians involved with them, like on that route all the way along to CCSU. These are also judges with crimes against people, even with child sex offenders, with the other branches of government individually grouped and together. Racketeering also with lawyers. Also with this racketeering method originally and still having used the very bar itself and every opinion nature associated with it for racketeering. Sequence racketeering, identity thefts, frauds. It's recorded how a family came into when I was in 4th grade. Never had a class with them in grammar school. One time they brought one of the Joe DeMoros. A cousin has the same name. They have they're involved with internation police and military, involved with the Britain Superior Court, with prosecutors through time, with judges through time, involved with a whole bunch of natures of bonded racketeering that are not legal, that they've been pretending legal, and they've been hiding what's been exploiting them, but hiding that. They have the identity. See, each cell is a cell nucleus, is a cell body, is a cell wall, even the plants. Now, and they have what's coming through that as value to itself, to and as itself, making more forever nature out of temporary / lasting space nature. For example, now someone could debate that. People put me in fake conversations about religion. Doctors, nurses associated with them, the whole families are involved with racketeering with drug cliques in my area. That are also people involved with racketeering with co-defendants of former director of the FBI. And intercities racketeering through each other. On and off CCSU, racketeering acts, roles with a Detective Samuda, switched his identity, pretend he was arrested an officer of me. His crimes with child sex offenders, medical, and military police, foreign and domestic, on and off Normandy Heights, the apartments next to it, on and off the locations next to CCSU, no, Paul Manafort Drive. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with narratives with the sources, private and interbranch of CCSU involved here with other agencies, not just the former director of the FBI and his lawyer, and many people tied to them in the locations of his office down the street from the Harriet Beecher Stowe house, no, where it's coupled with the bonded with the Mark Twain house and with the narratives through time that left out the database racketeering, that left out the human fact cheating nature, slavery and torture of everyone, left out that method actually recorded, left out how they forced our founders to hide their roles, and therefore to speak and be theater as a nature of criminal ceases they didn't want to be. Let just one see. So free speech. Now, this is a method that is preventing the sequence racketeering acts, the confessions in and out of the courts to me and to others. Then they just write other. Now these are also various natures of medical racketeering hospitals associated with this Detective Samuda, also with how colleges and universities have conjunction to teachers and to standards that have been used to make use defenses of roles with that legitimate to pretend that means they have the right to make things up about who has more integrity than that. We're supposed to let the most integrity lead. Doesn't matter if you have a title or not. These are people involved with racketeering with databases with our kids, and they're exploiting it on and off campuses with the same people through time. Whole bunch of people from Rocky Hill and from Weathersfield and from Hartford involved with on and off the campuses in my town and houses next to them, involved with racketeering with the family, with families also involved with them with state forensics laboratory, prisons, on and off the state judicial branch offices, on and off the state prison offices, and all along that route that goes by, that goes over the bridge, past the judicial branch offices, and all along past Rocky Hill, right that spot till there, with the Zanos and the Batterson's Cleaner. Now, and these are people associated also with DACA, with the racketeering here against them and us. So these are value treatments invested to maintain invested evil that are pretending other people are evil for having to make, you're not letting me connect or correct records that the courts know that they put wrong. They're recorded that, but they're pretending others recorded into databases. So what you have to do is allow peaceful means for people to defend themselves. Now, these are also people I've been asking since I was a kid, with like many others. Now, these are people associated with the Chet Casper, our Casper family, his whole family, and now their extended family. These are people involved with Hartford, downtown Hartford, with human trafficking acts, roles with on and off Fox Connecticut News, on and off the buildings next to them with foreign and domestic police involved with collusion, military involved with collusion. Then they pretend people have conspiracy theories because they already invested me to fake locations, fake communications with people that never were. They already put illusions and had people act straight since I was a kid. Because then they exploit that with the class placements, and they have crime methods that are coupled with that, bonded, as a method that is keeping this. See, this was integrity here before we ever had an agency being integrity, and in relationship to having to charge groups for the real causes of negative value nature, progressions, acts, and natures. Again, I'm not even a lawyer. I'll delineate their delusions for you from their criminally foreign influence premises treatments and sequence treatments that each person who is black automatically knows. For example, that's not prejudice. They're investing everyone to blame other things as styles. Each age of fact treatment nature is consciously hurt and simultaneously self-cared for in relationship to what kept and keeps all kinds of strangers needed to hide live progressions by valuing hurt and by indifference to and by hurting what is on off campuses treatments of positive in relationship to the racketeering method they're using with the kids, like a I don't know what they wrote in the database, but it was all lies. I just know that some girl said some, and I probably some Debbie Gold. She approached me out of nowhere. I had no communications with her before that. I never saw her around. She approached me yelling when I was in grammar school. Now she's involved now with this, with further people involved with the principal sex offenders campus then and now, further than worse than he was put in jail for in Sandy Hook. No, his doctors, and people associated with a Soto family, and a whole bunch of people on off the end of the Burlington Turnpike. There's a Goodwin golf course, and the place across the street with it are involved with people with identity thefts, and with these doctors and people with foreign and domestic overt criminal enterprises also recorded in the area, with crimes also with the interbranch Facebook pages and their roles with mail crimes and uses of AT&T employment since they were kids involved with mail crime, shipping crimes, racketeering. Now, I'm not trying to judge anyone with crimes. They're using these words, crimes, out of their mind, sick predators. They have the statutes recorded criminally foreign influence delusions raw here and there. If we try to treat that as an isolated subject, we get exploited by it through the same nations that kept and keep that the outcome. That's recorded too. This is through time maintained. They knew like a Walters family, a Chris Walters family. I barely know them. He's one of the people involved with human trafficking. He gave me an affidavit out of nowhere when I was a kid. And he's roles with the people with the further child sex offenders roles and human trafficking, the extended family members of the house that came in when I was in fourth grade, associated with a whole bunch of people at CCSU and with Trinity College with connected racketeering acts roles with the illusions from off campuses and then on off campuses and layers that way. These are various natures of courts and of their family members, also associated with the same house, also associated with the family members of my town's police chief, longstanding, and 1 year ago, reportedly it was the girlfriend of him that lived in the house. They had a crazy dog, and the dog door just run free, regardless of the law. See, we have some sick natures, and they have their roles with untimely deaths that brought up the roles further and further about New Britain Superior Court involved also with prison cliques and with military. There's a whole bunch of people from Middletown also involved with having pretend like they probably have a couple of pictures because I walked by some of them made me look like I knew them in context before. They can't quote those things unless they like for example, when I say things, they're trying to discredit what I say with a whole bunch of people from state police, FBI, CIA, involved with extended family members, identity thefts, to Mendez police, also tied to them, with human trafficking acts roles. Attached me to a fake conversation with the older Mendez brother. I never had one conversation in my life. I never had a class with him or his brother. I only know their names through confessions from other people. And they worded such as another stranger I barely know. All contexts other were recorded for what inclusion with what they're using confessions for, and people involved with on off religious spots, and people involved with DACA, with World Trade Center racketeering, like a DeMoro family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with Weathersfield Police, retired and standing, with abuses of women and girls since they're kids, as people that are also further involved then and now with the principal sex offenders campus criminally. Two Kerr brothers, also people recorded with his cousins themselves, like John DeMoro. And then the Kerr brothers are also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved crimes with judges and prosecutors with the uses of Facebook pages for crimes leading up to, also off their locations leading up to the Trade Center attack, and through time intercities, their roles with database racketeering and their roles with rights to be a part of investigations and research and everything used to hide lie progressions, used to hide their criminally foreign influence acts already standing, actually recorded natures like criminal insidious natures, like wrongdoers, like mass wrongdoing. Predicate acts themselves are criminal insidious natures of things as value, progressively negative. Humanity is in an identity of negative value nature progression because we have peaceful only as criminal is criminally legalized to maintain that self-value, to maintain uses of identities of life progression. That's identity itself. Lethal IDs. What is lethal IDs? Forced space nature transfer. That's how YouTuber Anthony Wall defines it. Me. Better. Because this is, I'm not using the physical delusions, the criminal foreign influences, and the narratives that people use why we don't have simple things like the physical delusions, criminally foreign influence, fact cheating nature in relationship to all the fact treatments tied to color, for example, tied to the actual identity of the ground impositions upon people, the actual means to afford things individually grouped together. Everyone's a victim. Who wants to claim other is recorded involved with racketeering that prevents mandated law. So they don't have the right to make opinions. But they're making them anyway. So they have WFSB told lies. They stole my voice to fake words, fake ties to other through time, and my family and little kids. That forced a principal sex offender with other recorded worse than he was put in jail for, which was off campus. They forced them. They attached me to fake words to hide because they have prosecutors with their kids recorded involved. Also, they used former Governor Malloy. And these are people involved with racketeering through time with a whole bunch of police forms, foreign and domestic, on and off East Hartford, on and off Glastonbury, on and off schools, all the ones in my town. Like next to Webb, there are further military police family involved with racketeering with a whole bunch of people, also as houses and locations next to churches that are connected racketeering illusions and roles with the World Trade Center and with the Pentagon racketeering, all that and uses of all that maintained manifest. See, they have other natures of motivations and crime methods. Now, these are crimes also against crime methods recorded against Paul Manafort, against everyone, recorded against our president. It's way worse than presidential harassment. If anyone had free speech, we'd be able to afford. We have more surface value under our feet than we need to stack as high as we need to build. So much space comes out of nowhere. We are on a scale, what, to the size of the maple trees? With the water, it's going to go flow where? It's all underground. The only fish, who's making it? One spot? We're in an identity of negative value nature progression. Everyone mows the lawn, put the things away. But where are it doesn't go back. The soil changes every year. Gets harder, less worms, less birds, more insects, more negative value nature progression insects. Nature is going to demonstrate this with the finite, active, and progressive. Its identity of relationship to itself denied. Our nature's nature. How can we have one nature, that's it? Yeah. And it's simultaneously a semi-nature. And as a trinity. And as that inseparable from what is on both sides of us, distinctly and not distinctly, one identity making more and more trinities. That's why each cell of each body, cell nucleus, cell body, cell wall. Cell walls together are for body of value discernment. This is nature's identity, demonstrating to us this to us. We are forever nature being that is making more of itself. This is an identity of the ground relationship to itself. It has where it has this more value, positive or negative, and more value than the ground. But that's differentially not true when we deny the system of what is the perfect system, because an inherent nature of volume, its active nature, identity of how it is active, its identity of relationship to and the value of itself active, simultaneously, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously with the progressive too, bonded. Because one identity has those grouped differentially and simultaneously. And this identity took, as the active phase, it pushed a semi-nature as the complete nature of volume. This is how space will simultaneously only stay complete, because it's attached to and as forever's identity, but distinctly and non-distinctly. Because it took what is its identity and the identity of value progression, part of it, and pushed it into existence. And you see how existence and space both have value fleeing from it while it's coming into it simultaneously. See, there's temporary there slash every temporary identity of value progression is simultaneously forever nature. Only the extent of it is debatable. Not by accident, we have recorded each age of fact, keeping nature distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. Having had this obfuscated by people with passions and emotions that are pretending to be about peace, that are pretending to be against things like bullying, so they can pretend they don't realize that their roles with the people are being attached to fake words, fake locations, fake recorded too. So there is a Brendan Leahy, and there's a guy named a doctor. Um, I don't even know other Dingleberry and Dewberry recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with various natures of judges, with various natures of courts, various natures of prosecutors, and of other doctors, foreign and domestic, with racketeering attached, me to also with lawyers and with AT&T racketeering use, way worse than racketeering, way worse than war crimes, uses of identity of the ground locations like the New Haven FBI, like the Chicago FBI. These are identity of the law positions as victim predators. This is what religion's about. So the predicate act is attached, even though it's an act, it's only an act, it's attached to an identity that it's a criminal insidiousness nature. It's going to make treatments of positive that are distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneously replacing more and more what is real positive. Now, this is simultaneously. We have branches of government that never had integrity pretending other. Now, they need to do that again, because when they have value treatments here and there, no one knows how to speak about positive as science with sequence true and pretend to be integrity at the same time. And if they admit that used as evidence is where nations use scientific consensus, use identity consensus, and it has this racketeering method that engineered everyone only in self-valuing roles, blaming the real causes of negative value, nature, progressions, acts, natures on other things other than themselves, even though those negative value, that's being demonstrated by nature's identity of relationship to itself, force space nature transfer. So Earth's most probable difference from the rest of space nature is that we are closest to the greatest inherent nature of volume. And the active, where the active is shared, grouped, and shared together, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, shared onto and as one identity's relationship to its inherent active and progressive nature or volume. So it took a semi-nature out of space and put it into existence. It was simultaneously taking a semi-nature out of existence, because it's going to stay itself, and made that the bond they are together. Simultaneously, this makes itself more value. That comes in and completes the circuit, where and as and how more and more value comes into space nature. That will only stay positive unto itself. The identity overall, not just overall, the identity that has its complete nature of relationship to itself, that will only mix with where and as and how it is semi-nature and its simultaneous nature and its complete nature, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. It is the order to the finite. It is the order to the active, the semi-nature we are simultaneously. And this inseparable from everything. Its identity of value progression only fills. Yin yang only fills. Yin yang share an identity, all those parts of it. This is how the ancients revealed English as a grouped value, positive or negative, unceasingly in relationship to the science of 5 different connected identities of sequence nature. This is values course, which is identities, which is the volume that uses both positive and is positive and negative simultaneously. More positive and forever nature is coming out as a quality of diffusion as more and more positive or negative relationship to its identity, the one we are semi-nature relationship to. This is why and how sexes are manifest. This is why and how parents, this is why and how kids are simultaneously manifest, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. Where we're supposed to be natural, this is an identity, this is a native thing. We're supposed to tell, this knows that we have to tell our kids to get mad the environment's messed up preemptively. The whole time they weren't following the mandated law. They were ducking behind this. See, we have a whole bunch of, with the Morrow family and the Kerr family. They were, because you have to understand their roles with the crime methods of the judges. So if I try to address them, because they have their roles with the people involved with former director of the FBI, with a whole bunch of people tied to him with racketeering acts against me and others, and with the principal sex offenders campus, and with CIA. And also they would confess online, offline, Wethersfield police, have them involved with them forging names, switching names. And with the courts grouped, they have crime methods denying that grouped and denying it together, like forging names and switching names. They do that distinctly, non-distinctly. The judicial branches recorded, confessed, and reported to that stated prosecutors pretend they use the crime methods like pretending people will talk their way out of things if they allow them to speak, so they don't allow them to speak. These are people that have been faking recorded things into databases, even with child sex offenders, women roles, because with their roles with agreements with DACA, their roles with agreements with language, with programs like a ROPES program, with victims advocates also involved with child sex offenders. How are they going to, when there are problems with areas originally instilled, because we don't have free speech. Originally instilled was already set up to keep everyone blaming what is preventing everyone from free speech on other things other than themselves, and then defending that self-value, victim predators. This is what religion is about. We're not being allowed to them. They have recorded interbranch women involved with the church, involved with its roles with child sex offenders, with its role with a Reddit page regarding with all the takes on them. They have sensibilities. If you try to have report an actual crime act, they even have the Facebook page of New Britain Superior Court. They can't defend. So they're pretending passions and emotions and acting to people while they haven't been they've been preventing me a voice, anything to respond to in writing since I was a kid, methodically. People involved recorded involved crimes with kids now that were involved through time with Justice Department racketeering with Washington D.C. World Trade Center families. They have that recorded and confessed, also involved with the people with racketeering, like with the Faenza family. People, a whole bunch of people, as a whole bunch of people on off those state judicial branch offices, state prison offices, involved with racketeering on and off to our highway. Further with the people on and off the campuses, and further with deployments at the schools, involved with racketeering through time with judges' family members, with military, foreign, and domestic. These are identity of the ground locations in the trap that is semi-ancient. The same exact one that made Native Americans blame other things others themselves, made them standing hurt themselves. Did that to everyone. Colonists A through Z, victim predators. Nations, modern nations A through Z. Not only is our identity of ground an identity of relationship to itself that demonstrates negative value nature progressions, the earth under it was tactically denatured too, because this is the differential. This trinity has a value/value nature relationship to itself. Every trinity physically manifests, not a doctor, as in cell nucleus, cell body, cell wall. Again, we draw this, you see them connected. This is what our body is made of. A whole bunch of trinity cells connected. We have the heartbeat, we have the lungs pumping, manifest that way because of how grouped one identity is. Also is that group is simultaneously changing, where space and where existence share the identity as a trinity, as a semi-nature that came out of each, and that's a circuit. So it's space, existence, and a semi-nature out of existence, but it existence simultaneously filled in by that semi-nature taken out of space. And that body of value is simultaneously makes more value the complete nature of volumes, identity of relationship to itself fills in space value. Now, Earth has the phenomenon of what does it look like? Where everything's made from and has the same identity, making more of itself. Where identity has the relationship to where it's positive and negative, making more positive out of negative. This is the identity of algebra. I call this algebraic consciousness. This is the identity of logic. This is the identity that ratiocination and that pseudo-ratiocination share. Now, regarding free speech, I never had one conversation with a doctor in my life about delusions. But I'm going to show you they have physical delusions that are manifest, the identity of and as that, with and as the value of their fact treatment nature, of their sequence treatment nature, and their roles with various natures of courts recorded and involved, forging names, switching names, and crimes with untimely deaths on off campuses, and roles with drug crimes of all different natures bonded, as their roles with their uses of their identity ground locations. Again, live progressions from those spots. These are also, I never had a conversation with Jody Pierce in my life. She's also one of the people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with fire departments that are involved, also with the Kerr family and with the Walters family and other people forging and switching names, with racketeering, with election spots and with town offices, also with a whole bunch of people tied to racketeering acts and roles with the federal criminal code defendants and as them and as their family members of former director of the FBI, racketeering uses of the databases of my high school when I was roles with that, and when I was in, and that was in collusion with people that used databases when I was in middle school for the human trafficking, further recorded and confessed with people, with doctors and with judges of various natures of courts and their family members involved on and off the South Dean Middle School, for example, as people further involved with families involved with this through things. These are identity theft. These are people that I don't know at all, like a Joshua Julian. We're juxtaposed with as people I only know from them seeking me out for confessions and roles with illusions where they make it look, where they have communications make it look like you knew people before then. They have whole groups involved with sequence racketeering, also in out of the Ninth Circuit Court, right next to the World Trade Centers, right before they were taken down. Post-dated documents from inside the court and other recorded racketeering acts, roles, illusions are people from Connecticut intercampuses, as people that are CNN sources, and roles within uses of them that are also involved with racketeering acts, uses of each age of campus as victims. But that it's recorded also how they keep them as victim predators, because we have to be able to counter the judicial branches crime methods that are distinct from, not distinct, they're also grouped with the other branches. We have to counter how that's grouped in, and then that shows how the political branch is also recorded, like with a former Mayor Gold. I never had a conversation with him too. His daughter involved with pretending we had conversations. Then I put a stamp, a fake signature of my father in relationship to that, because I had to write a letter or I would have gotten in trouble. So I don't know what they put in the database there. That was like when I was in like first grade, second grade, third grade, maybe. It was second grade. And then the only time I saw her again was in sixth grade for 1 second. And she also came up to me again, screaming again. Now, these are people also through time recorded a whole bunch of ways involved with crimes, with overt criminal enterprises, with the kids, and with the principal sex offenders campus in particular. And note that Joshua Julian was also spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises that are also recorded and involved with other natures of racketeering acts and uses of them, with the house in my area tied to him with racketeering, also confessed and recorded online and on off the Facebook page when they were using that to force the principal sex offender and to hide the other natures of bad things that made me aware of such, and they and confessions about that. See, the police chief's daughter is with the school then and now, further criminally involved with her husband's family too. And now these are victim predators too, the people that own the bakeries and as them on Hartford and Franklin Avenue, with the principal sex offenders campus, and with the house in my area, the Cololo family. Now he has Phil Cololo has a Scalora family, recorded, confessed, tied to him. His family involved with, everyone's speaking through others too. But they're involved with fake conversations. Yeah, I never had anything class with them. I never hung around with him and his cousins whenever I was kids. They were pretending to be others, even behind my back, to my family. These are people, they know where you're going to be. They're keeping this like a haunted house. Each city distinctly, non-distinctly, the same people. These are people on and off the state judicial branch offices, on all the state prison officers involved with a whole bunch of people with racketeering uses of the north end of Hartford, distinctly, non-distinctly, sickly, to keep how simultaneously and non-distinctly we have the racketeering method against us worse than war crimes, worse than racketeering, simple racketeering method that American history is really about. We have recorded, maintained this method of pseudo-positive treatments as criminal in seditious nature, self-valued, criminally foreign and legalized. Self-valued, sick precedents, sick statutes readings, sick sequence cover-ups, database uses, racketeering uses of the sensibilities of and of the information of juries. Also involved with them with all kinds of medical racketeering. It's not just their roles with sexual offenders, the women interbranch too, no. All the identities with New Britain Superior Court through time. It's nothing personal. That's what they say. Nothing personal, putting this one. These are people already involved with racketeering use of areas. They need people to fight and pretend they can't be, they're hiding mandated law. These are people involved with on-off church spots, with military racketeering, with the military police. Also, how they have color involved. They have black and white women judges that didn't let me speak. They attached me their roles with since before the Trade Center attack, whole bunch of times. Whole bunch of people kept coming up to me and others telling us that people in the Britain Superior Court, Hartford courts, were influencing them to interactions with us so they could pretend to perceive things, so they could pretend to record things. In relationship to and as the people involved with database racketeering, each age of campus through time connected. They have the media already invested to racketeering action method of preventing free speech, mandated law. They've been getting away with it because if they admit this here, how they're going to do it, not the way, they want to do it the way where they pretend, or they're pretending the news has integrity about their treatments or value treatments. Inclusion with what is grouped consensus of the opinions of nations, modern nations, suits and ties breach, counters breach. State scenarios, criminal foreign influence, all leaders, victim predators, forced roles, forced to entertain those natures of criminal seditious nature, positive identities that are as negative value nature. Criminal and seditious nature is proof that nature wants us to understand the difference between positive that has its complete nature of relationship to itself as value or not. Because it's coming in. It's coming to us, from us, while as us, and while with us, and while for us, positive or negative. Do not stay criminal and seditious nature. Follow mandated law. See, they also have aggressions. Now, these are people making opinions. When I speak, they already invested the towns, intercity, to spread lies with the courts, with the criminal uses of the ground, even with their family members. They have their kids, with prosecutors with their kids involved with the principal sex offenders campus, involved with various natures of departments, families, involved with, everyone speaking through other criminal uses of that. Criminal treatments of what uses of the word behavior, involved with their sequence racketeering, no. This is distinctly, non-distinctly, and is simultaneously against each person, each difference, like girls and women. They could say that they're content, but they can't do it without hiding, without self-valuing treatments of positive as criminal and seditious nature. Because women are being hurt every day. Little girls are being hurt every day, not by accident. Everyone's blaming on other things other than themselves, valuing that only having being a let voice. It's not because we don't have enough space. It's not we don't have the people that have enough space. The group means to afford enough space to build what is easier to afford and better quality. This pathology of homes was forced north and south with slavery as color for this fact treatment nature racketeering, where you can't talk about your own slavery. We have to talk about slavery. Simultaneous natures of truth and relationship to the identity of relativity as truth. Originally, still they're playing stupid. It's not. But then they want to debate. Oh, that's just an opinion. Fox News, follow mandated law. Respond, fix your fake news with the sick people within the Britain Superior Court and the Hartford courts, recorded and involved with racketeering leading up to the Trade Center attack. Intercities connected. There are malls in our strip malls with the people like the Kerr family, like the DeMoro family, but like the Kerr family, even with the Facebook pages of New Britain Superior Court, and they're misspelling names and they're switching names, not just sequences. Now, these are Connecticut courts and people that are involved on and off CCSU, on and off Trinity College with racketeering, with agencies, and with foreign and domestic military, and with overt criminal enterprises, and with the people undercover. And this is where the judicial branch is completely fact cheating in nature racketeering. They're using the weapons of that sequence racketeering. So we need mandated law racketeering. Their roles with worse than racketeering, simple racketeering method of keeping debates and pretending people have conspiracy theories. And while they're stacking more racketeering acts, when you lie about a person as a judge, as a prosecutor, distinctly, non distinctly, sometimes you get more sick. We have some sick people. Now they are also recorded how kept needing to hide libel aggressions with the prisons tied to them, the stewardships of them, the leaderships of them, the training of them. On and off Wesleyan College is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with on and off CCSU racketeering intercities. A whole bunch of people tied to a Detective Samuda. I never he was pretended he was an arresting officer of me in court criminally. He switched his name with a Officer Magnanos, involved with retired and standing police from my town, involved with racketeering acts on and off CCSU and online. As people involved with on and off New Britain Superior Court, even with sexual rape threats against me. The people involved interbranch as roles with the sexual with the principal sex offenders campus. His doctors also recorded online physical delusions, criminally foreign influence roles also with other families, foreign and domestic, associated with locations along routes at the end of exits like Town Line Road. And I see that's why they're hiding behind what is mapped out from my town, where George Washington had to come right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, could only semi-counter or extort that with overt slavery with color. That which is increasing value, positive to be able to discern the invisible but still discernible this way. Racketeering method. How could that be positive? That's positive because now we can admit reliefs. Then we could see, now we can discern together as science, free speech. So WFSB offensively stole my speech as their recorded racketeering uses of the person of Barack Obama, for example, a great guy, but they used him as a breaching weapon with opinions as a victim. Everyone only capable of fathoming this pathology of infrastructure. Recorded criminally foreign influence zoning laws involved with the fact, cheating nature, torture, and slavery of our founders. All naves force that. Our own states and areas force that. That's force respected. Oh, there's an integrity of the office you have to pretend. That that integrity is the integrity of that is increasing because we are the identity of forever nature. That's where integrity is. We're just losing integrity that Native Americans did damage control for. And James Madison, we have his identity stolen with all of our founders. George Washington reportedly said that he cannot tell a lie, but he said he did tell a lie. For him not to be able to tell a lie, we have to be able to understand how the branches of government that were sick then, how they were chopped down from that fake criminal and serious nature, fake positive, but how they were left fake. This made Native Americans A through Z's roles, blaming other things others don't. Now they're using them remote. Nature is going to demonstrate the perfection of its Campus Marcia system revealed by ancients working together, simultaneously valuing the individual identity of sounds, that identities of the sounds, how they have an identity of relationship to themselves. And if you understand the identity of relationship they have to themselves, you're going to value grouped and the species at the same time. And if you, to do that, to value it properly, completely, you're going to be looking to make sure it's in sequence first rights for the individual. Because the ancients revealed, science reveals, when you're evaluating the individual nature of volume, the grouped nature of volume, sexes, ages, areas, when you're even made up and or not, whatever you think, if it's made up or not, either way, of religions has two identities of possession on both sides of it. See, people they have the media recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved as victims, predators with their opinions with regarding logic and what can be proven on paper in relation to or not. This is how you can't prove it on paper, but they're preventing this while they're pretending other. Their motivations, because we have to be able to counter the judges that have been using the courts, have been using the on off. They know these people are going to walk to this media location. They know these announcers will only speak through others. They know this one has a brother who's a fire department. They have the sensibilities of strangers used as weapons. If you ask them nicely 50,000 times to fix the fake news, they already attach me to others to fake locations, fake ties to others, because that's recorded involved with tied to racketeering acts in and out of cases interstates. Their roles with uses of sensibilities leading up to that, not just juries. These are people that they're already involved with the racketeer. These are people most furthering and most sickly exploiting the overt criminal enterprises. Simple victim predators only allowed fathomed in relationship to intercampuses of each age and nature, in relationship to this, including homeschool families involved with related racketeering, with psychology families, with foreign and domestic nursing roles, with all that concentrated to all natures of campuses and ages of them. Know they have how the police play softball, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, stated, repeated, involved with their roles with the with the Russians and the Americans, with the on off the election spots, with the town offices, with the zoning laws, with the racketeering method here there, since before our founding parents were even born. Vaccines. It's all right if you want to have a woman make an opinion about about women's rights. Allow mandated law in sequence true. Who fights? So we have physical delusions, maintain self-value too, in sequence racketeering, because they're using before each age effect, human nature gets there. anywhere they have to walk. This is a method that is using the identity ground locations. And then it invests all database relationships, roles with that as identity of negative value nature progressions, acts and natures like criminalization nature, treatments of positive that can't defend themselves and their sensibilities, do anything but value, sustained, preventing people from reporting things, lying about it in the background more and more. There's a Trantolo and Trantolo, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. I'm so you don't lose, so it's not like a trick. So he has the right to do what's right now because what's actually recorded, he's involved with people lying about behavior. So and this is with sequence racketeering, and this is with him recorded, also with per or not. This is with his a lady that takes notes for him over the phone, recorded with physical delusions. So then they have to defend an identity together. They're involved with identity racketeering that is also involved with them with WFSB and with the various networks, with ad placements, and with the ILO family, also with this with recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by others and by himself, confirmed. He's involved with racketeering with databases and with online police interbranch, with judges and prosecutors, drug clicks, and sexual circles, and rolls with them with racketeering through time with databases. That you see now, they want to have people make only fight about what's debatable when it's not debatable because I'm asking them to report the sequence. Who denies this? They're recorded forging names and switching names. The various natures of courts because they recorded themselves, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated to me, to others. They have various natures of even Saudi families that they used for narratives here and there. They made up. Like we have foreign and domestic military on off West Farms Mall, on off New Britain, CCSU involved with them on off intercities, on as people involved with on off an Omni Place, a house near it, with the people involved with this Phil Cololo and with the Demoros and with people with the name KNERR, tied to the people with the name KERR, with their family involved, brothers and family with the policing of stores. Now they also said that Mogman sisters are also involved with them, with people that are involved all along the route of the all along routes they use criminally. Like this is how people are going to travel, where they're going to go each age. Like in Rocky Hill, one of the only roads into Rocky Hill. And right there, they have like people associated with DACA that was involved with DACA with database racketeering through time when I was a kid. This is interages too, because they're attaching little kids to fake locations. They're lying to kids' parents because of what they do on off campuses that they pretend is legal, but it's not legal because they're involving them with all natures of racketeering acts like mail crime rolls. They have shipping police. They have those locations used because now they're going to debate things like the roles of the Ukraine, also involved with agreements that involve them needing to stay close together and watch, find ideals, details, active, and progress like with UPS. Now I'll sign that I won't sue them if they'll help. Because before I went there, this is what this is about. There's an Oliveria family associated with a Joshua Stryker. I never had a conversation with the Joshua Stryker. The Oliveria family is involved with database racketeering with when I was a kid in school, and with my neighbors. The one with the human trafficking, with the principal sex offender further, and with the two Mendes police forging and switching names and pretending things recorded by police equipment and then putting me into a quote. These are some bad police. forms, also state police forms and their family members on and off CCSU. Whole bunch of people tied to a Hanson family. Also recording involved with the on off media locations and with their roles with the parks involved criminally. Now they also have all kinds of medical racketeering, and that's with their narratives, where they have collusion with the police forms, the judges, and the prosecutors already need to hide how they've been hiding from live aggression. So they've been lying about people in the background, and that has been only been that has already been facilitated into databases through time against everyone, even who it helps though. So we have people making opinions systemically sick. CT stick. So until we admit recorded sub rosa sequentially active, progressive, and identity thefts, frauds, racketeering, and worse against ourselves, until we admit that demonstrated, we don't have free speech. We don't have anyone worth the integrity interbranch here and there. And now then we have the phenomena of the grouped hundreds of nations. Imagine the time impositions, all knaves, all sick delusions wrought in relationship to recorded, tactically denatured relationship to the grounds, identity of relationship to itself, native, pure, boxings. Tells us things. So please, CNN, this is CCSU. This is not what you guys want to pretend what is debatable while you are criminally offensively preventing mandated law because of how you have the racketeering acts and methods of the courts involved, all the natures of courts, distinctly, non-distinctly, and grouped, and together. Connecticut, leading up to and their family members, all victim predators, high predators. You have to give us means to counter ourselves and our kids from their sick natures and uses of their kids like this through time. I just remind. Whole bunch of people on and off Two Rod Highway, Hangdog Lane, involved with this, with judicial racketeering, with prosecutors, judges retired and standing, doctors involved with their drug cliques, sexual circles involved with all natures of racketeering they don't have legal right to in cases, as the ones involved with the World Trade Center victims too. Everyone's speaking to other. So they already use them as victim predators. I'm not calling them predators personally. They're victims. And so you don't compare them to me though, because I'm a victim of this too, with others recorded involved with WFSB, with interstate racketeering, with people on and off the Trade Center attack contacts interstates, as their racketeering acts with judges recorded. Now give me a peaceful means to counter their sequence racketeering and uses of Facebook pages interbranch and intercampuses for crimes with the kids. Same people pretending they're against people writing things because they won't get jobs and stuff. They jobs wanted them to take positions here with the sequence racketeering. They're gonna owe us. Watch. Now we need. I need a response in writing, and I need a response for the online. They're extorting me. They're worse than tactically degrading, lying about the quality of what I speak online. Again, further roles further with other families that they want and need to hate me because I don't even know them. They already use them for fake conversation with me, like the past Mr. Murphy, involved with a whole bunch of foreign and domestic police on and off stop and shops, also involved with the judges criminally and their family members, like a Delafair family, also with the people on and off Two Rod Highway, all along routes involved with racketeering with AT&T, with FBI. Now, see, I asked them to help. They said that they'll help now if I don't get help, but they hid stuff. And with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and with his co-defendants involved with the house in my area, involved with the principal sex offender, with his extended family members that also involve state police and forensics labs with them, with racketeering, also with the transition from ACA to RICO. And as the rules with the Kerr family and with the Morrow family, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved racketeering acts with various natures of overt criminal enterprises and the people that counter them. Uses of undercover actually for racketeering. That's why we have to counter their roles with the judicial racketeering methods that are completely fact cheap in nature and completely roles with preventing mandated law. These are worse than witch trials. These are worse. This is worse than presidential harassment. Not one president had free speech, too. Don't think I'm trying to belittle the great man that Barack Obama is. Because if he wasn't a great man, it wouldn't be so easy to discern. Not, and he did the perfect job. Because that's the problem now. We could see it clear. Hundreds of nations at once and grouped in relationship to when we speak about our branches of government, how we can delineate their delusions from their criminally foreign influence premises treatments and sequence treatments, sequence racketeering, identity racketeering. It's recorded clear as day. When we start speaking about that, that makes us start having to establish truths that are of the identity that is true always, not denying exceptions. And with exception, nature, and demonstration of those of the nature of truths, we're going to follow this way, because this truth that is sequentially, differentially onto itself, it is the value of the inherent and of the active grouped, but it's also the inherent in the progressive grouped another way. It is also the inherent, the progressive and the active grouped another way. To understand this, you have to understand one, identity of value progression's identity of relationship to itself and the value of that as the identity of forever nature. And if you follow that, it reveals there is an inherent active and progressive. This is the nature of order. One identity is the nature of order coming from and as the value of the smallest thing, especially the smallest things that are connected physically in the body of value of identity nature, temporary splash, lasting negative, positive or negative, temporary positive. That's why, again, the science is sharing identity. So they can't have discerned the volume science that English is about. So they have to have, they can't have, which is about the identity of relativity. They can't have that discerned, so they put theory of relativity offensively defended with physical delusions and with sense and sensibilities, with passions and emotions, with sequence racketeering, self-valued styles, pretending integrity anyway, relying upon precedent statutes originally still criminally foreign influence. Blamed RICO and these people involved with the child sex offenders, also with doctors, foreign and domestic, and with prison cliques. They're also with forensic locations through time involved with the same criminal enterprises, the same state police cliques and their family members involved on off CCSU related racketeering acts on off the college, like the detective Samuda who switched identities with an officer of Magnanos and pretended he was an arresting officer of me when I was never I was never arrested by him ever off campus or on campus. He came into a court and pretended he was an arresting officer of me after a whole bunch of East Hartford officer Magnanos on off CCSU made me leave the campus. He's involved with the racketeering as people already before that tied to him with CCSU involved with East Hartford with others. He made confessions about his roles with Stephen Manos, the officer Magnanos involved with the racketeering. Stephen Manos is one of the people that was in the Trade Center attack context right next to the World Trade Center, right before the attack. He's also involved with people leading up to and in the 2006 case, district court in Connecticut with former director of the FBI was the defendant with his co-defendants, as ones with family members and themselves involved with the house in my area with untimely deaths. and with the further child abuse, juxtaposed natures too, recorded consciously, exploited, and self-valued how juxtaposed. So it was is also how they're using roots tied to that, which maintains value progressions, criminally foreign influence from the inter ages of campuses. Like UConn's got racketeering roles with a Hanson family. Now they have senses and sensibilities and uses of words like allegations criminally used to prevent what is actually recorded from being demonstrated, while they further and further have been roles stacking things pretended into databases. The Hanson families also involved with racketeering with CNN sources as their roles with further racketeering acts with World Trade Center ties, those illusions, other natures of motivations, her roles with one of the victims, family, sons, and family, also roles with police forms, forging names, switching names, Weathersfield Police, involved with New Britain Superior Court, Hartford courts with their family members and stuff, all along Town Line Drive, those offices, strip malls, all along. So just instead of making me go deeper in whatever under, so there's stuff like with a web, there's houses near a web school that are involved with the church racketeering with the military police officer MPO Floyd involved with them, black and white female judges and doctors, foreign and domestic, with child sex offenders, further roles with that, with the Dillon family, with my new and past neighbors. Now they attach me to fake conversations, fake word, even fake yelling. I did yell because I had I said 3 months after my father died, I caught the neighbor involved with them, with on offline on offline racketeering, with some untimely deaths connected, and confessions to me from strangers and people that are associated with the house/s in my area, with the extended family members, further crimes with the child sex offenders on and off the campuses, as the ones further involved with the CCSU, various natures of the departments, roles with identities of law like that, sick, originally still. So I'm going to show you what integrity looks and sounds like, visible but clear in the sequence here. So this is worse than extortion, too, because this is worse than, they have boxing, all kinds of Manchester Community College, people, not community college, Manchester PAL. I never had conversations with those people. They're also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering, with the house/s in my area, with the human trafficking acts, with the media, and with the child sex offenders, and with the police faking recorded things into databases with judges and prosecutors. We have the branches of government individually grouped in together, whole crime methods and natures recorded. Now they want to keep everyone making opinions, so they're evaluating media, everyone making opinions with criminally foreign influenced information, and with opinions regarding that used as a breaching method, because they know they're going to punish with sanctions treatments, which are huge amounts of money. That's where the grouped amount of nations use sanctions treatments. They call positive sickly distinctly, not distinctly, and simultaneously as criminal and seditious nature. Only when defenses of that is what is used by what is fluent through our nation's keeping states and areas, standing criminal and seditious natures. No integrity, but pretending other. So not by accident, they have CNN. Simultaneously, everyone's great. When they have them doing great things, they show how people get paid in relationship to jobs that we shouldn't be like that. Wouldn't even need to be like that. We had knaves thinking each identity science criminally foreign influence. This is the algorithm. This is the identity of value progression, its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that is inseparable from all things. They want to keep you guys standing criminal and seditious natures, database racketeering method that keeps that layered other natures of motivations. Nature needs and roles to self-value the form of identity the ground one kept to keep everyone can't defend themselves. Allow discernment of all that correlation nature is actually capable of. They pretend to believe dishonestly and with physical delusions that computers can figure things out. See, they're involved with database racketeering. That's identity of the ground racketeering, way worse than war crimes. Very simple. Yeah.